Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're reviewing Blade's new uniform, which is actually a massive upgrade for the character. So I'm really excited to first showcase him in World Boss Legend and show you guys what he can do, because he is pretty nutty, as you're going to see when he pops off with the tier 3. And he's got some gorgeous animations to boot as well. The only thing is it's a little hard to dodge the cage. Well, he's got two quirks, but the first one is that it's a little bit hard to dodge the cage for him. So that is the first thing, just specifically against Null, not for all bosses, of course. The other issue for Blade that you may have is that his 6th skill is a little sticky after you press the 5. So canceling 5 into 6 can be a little bit difficult, and it's just something that you have to sort of practice and get the hang of. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but I'm like, when the 6 comes up, I'm mashing 6. You can get around this by doing 5-3, 5-4, 6, because it's very much easier to cancel 4 into 6 than 5 into 6 for some reason. But doing that has its own issues, so I don't want to overcomplicate the rotation for Blade. But as you can see, he's very proc friendly. Although it's a tight rotation, I haven't missed any procs yet, which is sort of the hallmark of a good proc character, that I can pick them up and in just a few, 20-30 minutes of practice, a few short runs, I can have their rotation pretty much nailed down. So here we're going to do just 3, 4, 6. We don't need to do 5 here because we're just popping off with the tier 3. Really nice damage here. Let the tier 3 play all the way out. A lot of players have said that Blade, I got time frozen, that Blade reminds them of Hela, because he has really high tier 3 damage, and that's where the most of his damage comes from. That's true, but Blade has a couple of other features that make him, in my opinion, better than Hela. So of course he doesn't have the support buff like Hela has. That's, goes without saying. But on the other hand, he has crazy healing. So he doesn't just have one skill. He has a passive heal. Whenever he uses a bleed skill, it activates his healing. So you'll see his healing proc on most of his skills at different times. And then he also does pretty good damage on his regular combo. You don't do 1 and 2 very often. You actually don't need to do 1 and 2 at all to still build up the tier 3, but you can splash in the 1 and the 2 for a little bit of damage in between. But on the other hand, he doesn't necessarily need it. You can also hang out in the iframes on 5 and 4 to dodge different punishment mechanics, like how Null has the buff removal on that sort of symbiote skill that he does. But you can see, like, I get hit and Blade's tanky enough to not only take the hits, which is important, right? You need to be able to have enough defense and enough HP to absorb the damage, but then he also has enough HP to just recover very quickly. Like, how much HP did I have? Like, I had less than 50%. One rotation, boom, he's back to full. So really nice stuff from Blade here. It's like a top to bottom rework, offensively, defensively. He seems to be, squarely in the camp of PvE content, so I don't want people to get the idea that I'm sort of exaggerating his value, that he's going to be some PvP monster or something like that. Having a lot of healing is really nice for PvP, for sure, but I don't think he has any of the other equipment necessary for PvP. But yeah, we're popping off here, and the reason why I wanted to do this stage in particular, I missed my proc, that's so unfortunate. But yeah, the good thing here is you can show that he can tank, right? Do you see all that healing? Standing in there with no, well, we do have the damage reduction of Colossus, but, besides that, he's still tanking, and you'd have a support otherwise, regardless. But yeah, he does pretty well there. This is actually a pretty cool team-up for him because of Wolverine and Colossus having so many team-ups together. But yeah, we get this done with a minute left, which is amazing considering, like I said, there's a defensive buff from Colossus, but there's no support passive like increased damage to supervillains, right? There's nothing like that on the team, and we're also missing Blade's best synergy. So the cool thing is they've kind of tweaked Blade with the self-buffing lead, the 60% attack to Weapon Master allies. That means if I had wanted to switch to Wolverine, I could have, because Wolverine is also a Weapon Master ally. So you have this flexibility that's really nice. On top of that, of course, we have the Weapon Master ally support character who is Taskmaster. So if you pair Blade up with Taskmaster like we're going to do in the next showcase, it's nuts, right? He gives so many good buffs to Weapon Master allies, guaranteed crit, which Blade does not normally have, plus 20% more ignore dodge, plus 20 the skill damage. Well, actually, he doesn't get the skill damage bonus damage, but he does get the, you know, the ignore dodge does stack, and the guaranteed crit is new. So really nice stuff, and that could actually make Blade usable with a rage. Now, you may not want to use Blade with a rage for World Boss Legend, but you may want to use him with a rage for Dormammu GBR, because there's absolutely some content in this game where rage appears to be better than energy. And he already has 25% chain hit, so you could stack up to 50 with an energy, or you could take advantage of Taskmaster and swap over to a rage because of that guaranteed crit being so valuable. But right now, the build that you just saw was able to clear stage 24 with no super support, with a 180 proc obelisk with ignore dodge. We have the uniform mythic. He's got pretty good optionals: Colossus, Captain Marvel, Iron Fist, Hela, and then Scarlet Witch. That's really the only bad one, the old, outdated one. We have a stage 11 Power of Angry Hulk. Not right now, Ledox. Thank you, though, bro. And then we have 2 Odin's Blessings and a bunch of 6-star Uru. Not right now, Ma. I know you guys want to crush Dormammu, but yeah, we got to get through this review. So yeah, it's really, really good. The thing is that he has pretty long animations, so you do want to, I would recommend trying to get his attack speed as close to 130% as you can. Of course, you always want to prioritize ignore defense and skill cooldown first, and then you want to prioritize crit rate and crit damage. Now, keep in mind, for Blade, he doesn't have a frenzy buff. That's sort of an interesting quirk about this character. Despite how good he is, despite the accumulation, he does not have a frenzy buff. But he sort of has a frenzy buff in the Deep Wounds passive. When he uses a bleed skill, it will give him a frenzy buff for 10 seconds. However, I would rather, I would sleep safer at night, or I'd just be more comfortable personally getting that crit rate up as well. You obviously need to have it capped for something like a rage CTP situation, but with his healing, I don't think having his dodge capped is as necessary. It's definitely nice, but I would say that you should pay a little bit more attention to crit rate than you usually do. Most of the characters just have a very obvious frenzy buff on one of their skills right there, you know, and you can pop this every 8 seconds, so she always has 40%, so you can just soft cap at 35. But with Blade, because it's a passive, I mean, it probably still triggers very often, and I'm sure if you watched the icons and paid attention while you were fighting, and, you know, watched the playback, you would see that he always has that buff up. But I'm just, you know, playing it safe here and getting that crit up. That's why I have crit rate Urus as well, but I could probably swap some of those HP for just a little bit more crit damage. But anywho, enough of the build. Now let's see what he can really do on a much more, you know, important stage. So we're going to hit up stage 29 of Mephisto, and this is important because from 25 to 29 you have to use combat types, and a lot of the combat types that you use besides Shang-Chi are pretty expensive, like Cull Obsidian or Maker. So you have a situation where Blade coming in is not only giving you a really cool combat type, but he's also giving you a nice discounted combat type, whose only really comparison is you know, Shang-Chi. And because he has a self-buffing lead that's a little bit higher than Shang-Chi's 24%, and he has higher synergy with Taskmaster, you are getting a lot of bang for your buck. A lot of people nowadays are going to tier 3 Taskmaster anyways because he's such a strong support, and so Blade just offers you even more value there because he takes advantage, you know, of the full buffs of Taskmaster. So he's ripping through this right now. It's kind of hard to tell. Wow. No way. Okay, 45 seconds. All right. Wow. Really, really good stuff here. We're not going to be able to build up the tier 3 because I had sort of an awkward rotation where we didn't have all of our skills capped. What you're also going to see is Blade's HP yo-yo, because Mephisto does a lot of damage, and we're not using a damage reduction support like Valkyrie, but Blade also heals a bunch. And so, yeah, but look at that damage. Absolutely nutty. Absolutely nutty. I do play a little bit safer with Blade, so we may lose a little bit of time, but I'm okay with that because I don't want him to die. I mean, he heals a lot, but he also takes a lot of damage. I'm not gonna lie to you. It can get a little bit dicey sometimes, which is why I mentioned Valkyrie and I mentioned, you know, support characters that have damage reduction versus villains. Also, I absolutely switch here. Blade is fast enough, but Taskmaster is, as you can see in a league of his own. Like, Taskmaster is one of the fastest characters in Marvel Future Fight, so why wouldn't I switch to Taskmaster if I had him on the team? And why wouldn't you want Taskmaster on your team if you're using Blade? As you can see, this team-up is disgusting, and I absolutely love team-ups like this that are just so synergistic. That was unfortunate. We got interrupted and sort of knocked out of our 5th skill, but we can just pop the tier 3. I was trying to save the tier 3, but it's okay. We want to get to the next phase as fast as we can, and we also want to heal up here because, well, this phase can be a little bit dicey otherwise. But yeah, he also has a really long iframe on 5 and 6, so you can basically just sit in the iframe here, and Mephisto is not going to do anything. This is really nice. This will also work against Ultron, where he's just going to stand there and sort of wonder where you are. So I really like the long iframe on 5 and 6 that lets you do that. Wow, he's going to do this again? Okay, well, we can go back and forth trading hits here, but I think you're going to lose this battle, Mephisto. You're not going to get me. Because Blade just pops off, dude. He just pops off. It's like 2 a.m. in the hotel, so I don't want to get too rowdy, but Blade making me act up, dude. Now, if you haven't caught it yet, the rotation we're using is just 3 cancel 4 cancel 5, and then pretty straightforwardly 3 cancel 4 cancel 5 cancel 6. And again, you don't need to use 1 and 2 to charge up the tier 3 in between, so you can feel free to just do the rotation as I'm doing it. But you can definitely splash in the 1 or the 2 in between, after the 5, I should say, if you want just a little bit of extra damage. We're going to play it kind of rough here. We're going to just wait for our skill to be off cooldown, and then we're just going to finish him here. Okay. Because the tier 3 will just knock him out. Yeah, so he finishes stage 29. This is huge. He finishes stage 29. Yes, he's using double support, but he finishes stage 29 with over a minute, and he's using an obelisk here. Yeah, whereas Shang-Chi needs a rage for sure, and Maker's going to need a rage or an energy. So this is really, really nice. So I'm excited to test out Blade with a CTP, but I'm really impressed with his performance with an obelisk, and I do think you should strongly consider him, especially if you have Taskmaster, if you haven't already invested in a lot of combat types. I definitely think he's very high up on that list. The only other thing that gives me pause at the moment is because we've seen, we know, for example, that Moon Knight is coming sooner or later because of the Disney Plus show. There's been rumors that it's data mined, so that could be one reason why you hold off on buying his uniform, hold off on tier 3ing Blade. But like I said, he crushes it, and I've also heard he's good for Dormammu, and we'll have content on that later, so you can be sure to keep it locked here for that. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Blade. I think he got one of the best glow-ups of the year, which he absolutely deserved after this lackluster uniform, as cool as it looks. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.